If somebody is on government benefits, how is Nesara going to impact those
I
benefits?
mean, let's and back to our original kind of point. Let's just say someone's 26 years old. She has three kids. She's got government benefits, and one of the things about government benefits and adoption and all these other little things. I mean, they're very black and white. If you make up a number, you make 26,000, you get almost nothing. If you make 25,000, you get a lot of government benefits and food stamps and other things. And so what they do is they have this arbitrary thing. And the reality is that's not enough. So what they do is de-incentivize the person to make less. So that person only gets a part-time job. And I'm going, let's incentivize those people. Hey, listen, there are people who really want to work hard. I'm going to tell you a story. There was a woman who was working for me, and she's a couple years younger than me. She looked like 8, 10 years older than me. She was beaten down by the system. And I mean, she was actually very toxic for a company. I had to let her go 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was. I mean, incredibly toxic. And she was toxic because she didn't want to come out of this. But this woman had 90% hearing loss. She had massive back problems. She had all these other things, but she wanted to work. And if she could get some counseling and get some other kinds of things, I'd love to see that happen. Again, I don't have a problem with it. That person wants to work, and she wants to be out there and be productive with that. So I really believe that we need to promote that ability to be productive and find ways. But listen, I'm not talking about disability. I'm not going to talk about poverty kind of stuff. But someone trying to let's give them plenty of help to get there. But let's incentivize them to kind of move into the next level. But again, we're not talking about someone who's like 78 years old and in poverty levels and has to work at Walmart kind of thing. That's just wrong. I mean, that's wrong. But we're not talking about a 28-year-old who has the ability, and I see him every day in the gas stations and other places around there. I know that person can work. He's just choosing not to because he's looking at the black and white systems of the government with that.
Does EBS need to happen if the media becomes more honest?
I think yes, but let me ask you this. When has the media ever been honest? What benefit does the media right now have to be honest? We've proven over and over again. They don't want to be honest. I mean, I don't know the name because I don't spend enough time looking at this. There's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman. She's got really crystal-eyed blonde, blue eyes, striking-looking person, and she's on Fox News as like some anchor, and I don't know. And she's known right after the 2020 elections. She's like, "That's wrong. We know Trump lost," and I remember this very clearly. And I've seen her now, and she's kind of saying red pill things, and I'm going, they don't want to tell you the truth, because if they tell you the truth, they have to admit their lies. They don't want to admit their lies, and we have given them plenty of opportunity to show the truth. How about the Twitter files? Have any of the people talked about it? Oh yeah, well, Fox News is talking about it. Come on. Have you watched Fox News and felt better afterward? How about Newsmax? Have you watched Newsmax and kind of realized, hey, they still showed Trump did a speech in November 15th. They all broke away, including OAN. Why? No one talks about that. They had the ability to stay with it. They all broke away, or they didn't even cover it with this. No one covered it. They had their opportunity, and people want to say that they have the ability. I'm sorry, you got to flush the toilet. The media is a toilet bowl that is just disgusting, and you got to flush the toilet. You cannot live with this anymore. And if we'd even heard of military people who said, if the media will just do this, but they've had plenty of opportunity. They've had, I mean, the Arizona election in 2022 here that Kerry Lake is fighting, it's a cesspool. There's a ton of documentation, and Katie Hobbs is out there trying to beat it up, and she has no possibility. Why aren't they talking about it? Because they don't want to. And they've had plenty of opportunity to show it. They're corrupt to the core. They have no ability to do this. They're owned by the idiots. We need to flush them out.
What can we expect from EBS?
Well, and I have had this conversation. Jeremy and I, Jeremy, Jeremy Whaley's on channel, and he and I disagree on this one point. So, Jeremy, hey, so let me say what I think you have to accomplish. Okay, in the EBS, people go, that's an old term. Well, EBS went to emergency actions signal, and then it moves to emergency action message, which every single phone, every single internet capability thing, you're going to get it. Don't worry about it. Trust me, it's going to happen. But I think there's three main issues. Election fraud. That's Executive Order 13848. We have to kill the election fraud, because that's what, and by the way, to give you a little election issues, do you know that Tory has a really powerful statement? Do you know that in 2016, they actually cut the internet connection of those Dominion machines? That's why Trump won, because the real election vote came through. And that's why Hillary is so mad. And I think that she might have been part of that stuff, because she gives some information that's fascinating. Now, in audiology, in my field, we have to calibrate our machines every single year. If we don't calibrate our machines, we can lose our license. Out of business. The Dominion machines have not been calibrated since 2017, which means that the 2018, the 2020, and 2022 elections are invalid. If you invalidate all three of those elections, what you say is basically everyone in Congress and Senate and the presidency are invalid anyway. Right there, you have to kill it. So election fraud is the number one point, and Trump's been talking about it. Number two, what does Trump talk about more than almost anything else? Child trafficking. This is crimes against humanity. Once people understand the depth of it, now we might not show some of the grossest things of this thing. I'm not going to present that, but when you show enough of the base evidence, you're going to go, I don't care if I liked that guy, he's done. This is going to take down all of the big tech, the big corporations. It's going to take down the government agencies. It's going to take down the three letters. They're all done. And I don't care if you're a very left-wing or you're a very right-wing person or you're midline kind of thing. Once you see that point, you invalidate them. And it actually supports Executive Order 13818, crimes against humanity. You lose your property or you're bankrupted. So it is the basis for Nesara too, that we take down all the Fed idiots, okay? And they have to lose that. So child trafficking and election fraud have to go. The last one that I believe that we have to deal with is blanket it out here, corruption. Yeah, it might come to me anyway. But basically, we have to deal with these areas of capabilities. Once you kind of see some of that stuff coming out, you're going to find it all kind of flowing away. The fiat currency's got to come out. You've got to come out with these basic things. But let's go forget about that stuff for a second. What about 9/11? Do we have to talk about that? Is that relevant to today? I don't think so. Oh, I'm sorry. The last one was COVID. COVID is a cover for all this stuff. The COVID, all the COVID, the vaccines, you got to find out about those things, because that's what kind of collapses it. It collapses their whole narrative. And that's what EBS, see, none of the media, including OANs or anything else, none of them have covered this stuff. They don't want to spend any time on it because it's conspiracy level stuff. And they're upset about it. Once you kill those three, we don't have to go through the JFK killing or Lincoln or World War I. That's later stuff. So I think you got to cover those basic three things. And to give you an idea, I think that we're going to see the guy, and we talked about this last time, the guy with the tie, he's kind of sideways, he's looking at the screen like this, going, let's talk about what happened, And I think that's all. It opens up conversations to have real powerful information that comes in there. Once the systems are down, we already know that the White Hat's building the structures underneath this so that we can kind of see the replacement. But people now have to accept the replacements. So EBS has got to deal with those main three things.